The Supreme Court has said that Aadhaar cannot be made compulsory for filing income tax returns till a top court constitution bench decides on the privacy issue. The court further said that PAN cards cannot be invalid for those who can't link Aadhaar with their PAN cards. The court has also expressed concerns about leakage of personal data. A. Vaidyanathan joining us for more on that. Whether on one hand the court is saying that those with Aadhaar cards must link it to their PAN card, but it is not compulsory for those who don't have the card. Could you explain to our viewers what exactly that means?
Let me make it very clear. This order is 50% this way, 50% that way. Government says its stand is vindicated. They are quite happy. What does the judgment says? The judgment says those who have Aadhaar cards, they will have to quote Aadhaar card while filing IT returns. So government statistics say more than 95% people have Aadhaar card, which means those who have Aadhaar card, they will have to file the returns quoting Aadhaar. But those who don't have Aadhaar card, government can't insist them filing IT returns with the Aadhaar card, which means people who don't, for example, I haven't applied for Aadhaar card, so I want to file the income tax returns. Government cannot invalidate my PAN card and say you can't file. So that's ruled out. So in a way, it's not completely victory for the petitioners. Petitioners completely wanted a stay, but Supreme Court says privacy issue will be decided by the Constitution bench. But for those, since a big debate is going on the privacy issue, Constitution bench will decide. But for those who have already have Aadhaar, they will have to link it with PAN for filing income tax returns. And secondly, the Supreme Court is also concerned with the leakage of data of Aadhaar, which recently newspapers and media have reported. They wanted this Parliament to come out with a scheme to prevent this leakage and also impose a hefty penalty or fine to those agencies who are leaking these Aadhaar details.
Right, Vaidya, as you're saying that the court has expressed concerns about the safety of the private data on Aadhaar, and as you were also mentioning, there have been several Aadhaar linked data leaks, but what are the steps that the government can now take?
In fact, Attorney General Ms. Mukul Rohttgi just now spoke to NDTV. He says government welcomes the judgment, and he says those who have Aadhaar card naturally will have to file the income tax returns quoting Aadhaar. So it's more than 90. He says around 99% people have got Aadhaar cards. Then those who file the income tax returns will have to quote the Aadhaar card only. He says government stand is completely vindicated.
All right, thanks Vaidya for bringing us those details. Vaidya also spoke to Salman Khurshid a little while ago. Let's listen into what he had to say.
We are joined by Mr. Salman Khurshid, who represented the petition in the Supreme Court. Sir, to make it short, what are the salient points of this judgment today?
Well, it's an interesting judgment to read because the presiding judge, Justice Sikri, read out some interesting passages. He's obviously looked at the issues about dignity of the citizen, but said that is so closely related with the privacy issue already before the constitutional bench that it is best that the dignity privacy issues under Article 21 are left to the constitutional bench to decide. But on Article 14 alone, which is discrimination or non-discrimination, the bench has upheld the Aadhaar card, but subject to this, the reading it down for purposes, for the present purposes, saying people who have Aadhaar card will be required to use the Aadhaar card. Those who don't have it, if they want, they can get the Aadhaar card, but if they don't have it, their PAN card will continue to operate. So previous transactions not to be invalidated, non-availability of Aadhaar card will not automatically invalidate any transaction or the PAN card, and the timeline that is given will remain, and the rest of the issues will be considered by the Constitution.
So what happens to, they've given some advice to the Parliament also on the data leakage also?
There is towards the end of the judgment, and I think you'll have the judgment later in the day, that towards the end of the judgment they have said that issues relating to security, data leakage, etc. are issues that should be further examined by the government.
So are you happy with the judgment, sir? Is it setback? I'm
always happy with what the Supreme Court does.